Welcome to the First Friday Zoom call. We are restarting after having been Zoom bombed very badly the first time. And so we will record this for people's utilization later. Thank you so much for joining us. The purpose of the First Friday e-call, these happen on Friday, and the purpose of the call is to increase the local community's knowledge about the education and economic resources that are available to help small businesses and entrepreneurs and the towns that love them. And so today we have Secretary of Commerce David Toland and Secretary of Labor Delia Garcia and Laurel, Searles, the Director of Unemployment for the state of Kansas. And Jan Steen is our host, co-host, and we are K-State Research and Extension. So Secretary Toland, would you start once again with what you were trying to tell us about the programs available for small business?
Well, thank you so much, Nancy and Jan, for having me on, and appreciate all the folks that are going to be watching this later on today. So these are unprecedented times that we're living in, and the Department of Commerce is working to move swiftly, creatively, and with a sense of urgency to support the state's small businesses and communities that are struggling during the COVID outbreak. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes of updates on where things stand at the state level from an economic development perspective, and we'll also give some quick updates on the CARES Act. So first, Governor Kelly launched the HIRE program, which is the Hospitality Industry Relief Emergency Fund, 2 weeks ago. And the purpose of that fund was to provide zero interest bridge loans to restaurants, bars, lodging establishments, and event centers in the state. And we launched that program 9:30 on a Friday. By 9:30 the next day, we'd received about 1,100 applications, and we had exhausted the entire $5 million allocation for that program. So the money went very quickly. We've received at this point about 1,500 total applications, and we are continuing to accept applications in the event that there might be additional funds that become available down the road, perhaps through a federal stimulus bill. So we are encouraging folks to continue to apply. If you've already applied and you've been turned down, you do not have to reapply in order to be considered if there are in fact additional funds that are made available. So once you're in line permanently. We are going to review applications if we get more money on a first come, first served basis. So we did 346 hospitality businesses, and if we open it back up, we'll start with number 347 and go in line from there. So that's the update on the HIRE program. Second, the U.S. Small Business Administration, or SBA, approved Governor Kelly's disaster declaration almost 2 weeks ago. What that means is that small businesses in the state are now eligible to apply for disaster relief assistance loans through the SBA. They have two programs. There's EIDL and PPP, and I'll talk more about those in a second. But just at a high level, there have been a lot of challenges at SBA with their website crashing due to high volume. There's also been long wait times for folks that need assistance in filling out loan applications. And so what we've done at the Kansas Department of Commerce is quickly train up 10 staff who are going to be providing online chat services starting on Monday at noon, as well as providing voice call assistance to folks, which is open now. That is to walk people through elements of the applications through SBA's disaster loan programs. There can be a lot of questions that folks have, and so we wanted to do what we can to backstop our other partners across the state who are doing a great job, whether we're talking about lenders, whether we're talking about the small business development centers. There's a lot of folks that have mobilized very quickly to try and meet this demand, but the demand is pretty great, and so we're doing what we can at our end at Commerce to support that. Last week, we heard from a number of small businesses that submitted their EIDL applications and did not get a confirmation number or a tracking number of any kind to know that their application was in fact received by SBA. And so what we are encouraging people to do is call SBA's customer service center if they're not sure what the status of their application is. And that phone number is 1-800-659-2955. Again, 1-800-659-2955. In addition, if you would prefer, you can send an email to disaster customer service at sba.gov. Again, disaster customer service at sba.gov. And they can get you an update on the status of your application. Next, so Department of Commerce, as part of our response, we looked at every single tool that we have, both those that exist within the agency and then dollars that may have been granted out for revolving loan purposes around the state. And there's about $6.3 million of CDBG dollars, Community Development Block Grant money, that exists in 37 Kansas communities, where we have granted that out at one point in the past. And typically, these dollars are used for very specific purposes that generally doesn't include working capital loans. What we have done is issue guidance to these 37 Kansas communities that we've cut the time for the environmental certification from 30 days down to 1 day. And we've cut the public notice requirement from 30 days to 1 day on working capital loans. So literally within a couple of days, if communities are mobilized, they can get these dollars out the door to the small businesses that need that liquidity right now. And so we're doing everything that we can to cut red tape and speed the delivery of these dollars to small businesses. In addition, there used to be a program called Incentives Without Walls, IWW, and there are 20 Kansas communities that still have IWW money that they're administering. There's about $500,000 across these communities. So we have issued guidance to all of those communities that money can and should be used for making working capital loans to small businesses in Kansas Main Street districts. And so we've provided this direction with the idea that, again, we're trying to cut red tape and speed getting this money to the businesses that need it right now. We have all hands on deck to find other resources as well, and I hope that we'll be able to announce some more programs next week. So like many of you, we've been in regular contact with the state's delegation in Washington, Senator Roberts, Senator Moran, and the congressional delegation. Everyone has been very supportive of our efforts here at the state level, and we're grateful for that. The CARES Act, which passed Congress last week and was signed into law by the president, has a number of provisions that are directly relevant to the state and small businesses within the state. So I'm going to explain first at the state level from an economic development business perspective. So there's $1.25 billion that will go to the state of Kansas. That's for coronavirus related expenses. Now, we don't yet have guidance on precisely what those eligible expenses will be, and so we're awaiting direction from OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, on that. So at this point, we don't know whether those dollars will stay purely within state government or if some portion of that could be granted out to local governments. We just don't know. So there's been a lot of questions about that. Stay tuned. There is, in the CARES Act, $10 million that's been allocated for minority business development and minority chambers of commerce. There's also $75 million for the National Endowment for the Arts. 40% of that is directed to go to state arts agencies. So in the case of Kansas, the Kansas Creative Arts and Industries Commission, which is within the Department of Commerce, we hope will be seeing $300,000 to $400,000 in new money from this. And so we'll be giving more details on that as we get it, hopefully next week. In terms of business resources that are in the CARES Act, so at SBA, we have they've received guidance that they must waive the personal guarantee requirement on cash advances and loans that are below $200,000. SBA is also waiving the requirement that applicants need to have been in business for 1 year before the disaster, and waive the requirement that applicants must have sought credit elsewhere prior to making application. So that's all very good news, we think, for Kansas businesses. In addition, so the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program, has gotten a lot of attention for good reasons. So there's $350 billion in PPP that targets small businesses to support their working capital needs. So to pay salary, wages, rent, benefits, accounts payable, utilities, and the like. So the formula for the loan amount there is that it's 2.5 times the total payroll for 2 months prior to the disaster. The max loan amount is $10 million. And we want to give a little bit of caution to folks. So the rules have been changing, the rule making and the guidance that we're getting from SBA has been changing by the day and by the hour, literally, on this. And so stay tuned. Please watch our social media through Kansas Commerce as well. You should watch SBA's social media and keep in touch with your local chambers and partners, your lenders, on what the latest is, because it is right now kind of a moving target. So just a couple more items. We've seen very, very heavy traffic at Kansas Works. Our physical offices across the state are closed to the walk-in public. However, our staff are working. So they are working, taking calls, and through our online chat feature at kansasworks.com. We're doing everything we can to support our partners and our sister agency at the Department of Labor. About 80% of our calls are unemployment insurance related, and so we've done our best to get our team trained up on FAQs, frequently asked questions related to unemployment, and we're glad to do everything that we can to try and help a little bit on the call volume, Secretary Garcia, that we know you're having.
Yes.
Also this week, we launched kansasworks.com/coronavirus. kansasworks.com/coronavirus. So this is a one-stop shop for jobs that are related to the coronavirus outbreak, where companies are hiring right now. So this is supermarkets, this is healthcare related jobs, it's local government jobs. There's a lot of opportunities that are on there, and we wanted to have a place where people could go so they can quickly see everybody that's hiring right now. This is a free service for employers and for job seekers, and we really want to push people going there. We've had a great response, and we are appreciative of that. So kansasworks.com/coronavirus. Last, so we're doing a variety of calls like this. I think this is number 41 or 42 that we've done, and we're grateful to have this opportunity to take questions. And I know because of this recorded format, we're not going to be able to do that live, but want to offer my email address is david.toland, Toland, @ks.gov. And I'm glad to take questions from the public. Don't worry about it being work. This is our work. This is what we're here to do. And so please reach out if you don't know where to go, and we will connect you with somebody who knows the answer. And if we don't have the answer, we'll tell you that too. But we're trying to give folks clarity right now in real time. So thank you very much.
So thank you so much. One of the things that I have appreciated, and I failed to take note of it, maybe you can help me. I heard you say that the things are happening so quickly that the best and first answer is on each of the agencies' social media. Their Facebook, is that where you would stop first?
So both Facebook and Twitter, the Kansas Commerce accounts, that's where we're pushing all the latest information. You can also go to kansascommerce.gov, and we have a coronavirus, a COVID site for businesses which is intended to be a one-stop shop for information. So as we get new info, whether it's about SBA programs, whether it's about state level programs, maybe FAQs that are coming from other federal agencies that are relevant to the business sector, nonprofit sector, local communities, we're posting those there. So we push it out as quickly as we get it because we know that time is money and that folks need this right now.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thank you so much. And really appreciate your flexibility to record this. I'm sorry that people weren't able to respond in person right now. So Laurel and Secretary Garcia, this is your time to explain what's going on with unemployment insurance and the Department of Labor.
Thank you, Nancy and Jan, and thank you, Secretary Toland, for all your help you're doing with supporting us here at the Kansas Department of Labor. And first and foremost, to your members, you know, as I start off all of our daily updates, I'd like to take a time to thank our farmers and farm workers who are feeding our families every day. In addition to the, you know, first responders, nurses, doctors, scientists, government, every level, every community leader. This is going to take a partnership. And that's what our new tagline is through our partnership with you, we're going to get through this together. So I just want to have a straightforward conversation about what the status is, what we're doing over here and just in general, and then sharing the bigger picture of where we're at and where it may go and what resources are available. But yesterday, on Thursday, we just got the federal numbers, unemployment numbers, and those numbers were unbelievable. The new numbers were 6.6 on top of the previous 3.3 million. So we're at about roughly 10 million of people filing unemployment across the country. Now that includes Kansas's total in the last 2 weeks of 79,353. The number will only continue to increase. And so I want to be honest and real about that. And that's why it's very important that we have direct people to use our website. That's the #1 tool to use. Website is www.getkansasbenefits.gov. There, you can find our frequently asked questions that we are updating every day. It seems like every hour. But the gravity of this situation, just to give you a taste of it, just on Monday, earlier this week, we had 877,000 attempted calls. So thankfully we have like the Department of Commerce helping us. We have, I want people to know what we've done with I've increased I doubled my staff from the first week up to the second week. We're doing everything we can to add resources. We're bringing back retired staff that we have promoted, amazing staff we promoted who have the special skill set. And that's the key here. You know, a lot of people are like, well, can we come work at the call center? Well, actually it takes 6 months to train each call center rep. So it's a special skill set. We don't have 6 months in the next couple of days, but what we do have is the ability to bring back people and then just do a refresher training. And I'll let Laurel talk a little about that in a second. But I want people to understand and know that we aren't the only state going through this. Every single Department of Labor across the country is going through this. Everyone's working around the clock, every day, every hour, and extra hours. Some states have even crashed. Luckily, knock on wood, we have not yet. And that's another key point I wanted to share that we've been sharing again is we are working on a system, an old system of our website. It was built in 1977. That was the year I was born. And when I first came into this position last year, I recognized the need to fix that. We began to make plans to modernize our system, and we were in a phase 2, and we were about to launch into that, and then this happened. So we are still going to continue doing that, but however, this is obviously the priority. But I just want people to understand that that's sort of where we've been. I do have some good news that we've been working every day and trying to fix some of the things that we're having IT issues on. We've been going back and forth on some of the reset and user passcodes on our website at www.getkansasbenefits.gov. I know there's been some issues. We would just encourage people to keep trying. And when you go there are 2 different prompts, and you'll see, and if you just click on, if you had a username, you click on that and follow the prompts. If it was a password pin, you click on that and you follow the prompts. If those 2 options do not work, then there is an email that we would have you send a fresh new email, just because we don't have the capacity to go back to what would be more than like 83,000 plus emails to say, actually go back and try. So that is, and then again, another important piece to follow us on our social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram and YouTube, but we're doing daily briefs at 9:30. We have our 3 o'clock every Wednesday virtual town hall, and where we share these updates, but where people can see the rolling information 24/7 is at www.getkansasbenefits.gov. And I want people to know that we are working every hour during this economic and health crisis. You know, before with the recession, it was just an economic crisis during the Great Recession. And right now we are in uncharted waters. We are doing the very best we can. And I know I sound like a broken record, but if people could just use our website at www.getkansasbenefits.gov. Now, I will share one important piece of information. The phone number is supposed to be reserved for people who do not have internet. For those who do not have internet, or if they're an English, non-English speaker, or if they are military, or if they moved to Kansas in the last 18 months, that phone line is supposed to be reserved for them. So if you do not have internet, then the number is 1-800-292-6333. Again, 1-800-292-6333. You may get a busy signal. I want to be honest with you right now. If you, in fact, get through the line, please hold. We've received a number of feedback on our social media, some very angry people, and rightfully so. Totally understand it, get it. We've also had some compliments. One in particular lady said she finally got through after trying for 5 hours. Then she was on hold for 3.5 hours, and then she was finally helped. And she wanted to hug our customer service representative who helped her. But she shared her experience, and it was a positive experience. But it goes to show that's a multiple hours people will have to try. So thank you for your patience at home. We've been having an issue, and we're well aware of the waiting week. The governor issued an executive order regarding that, and anything that was related to COVID-19, people were able to have the waiting week waived. But we are aware that this is an issue. I want people to know that you will get your money. We are trying to figure out everything to do to make sure you do that. I want to report that we did check our numbers, and at this moment, approximately 60% of claimants who have had the waiting week qualified payment, they have received it. The other 40% we're diligently working on, and just want people to know that you will receive your funds, and we're working at that as hard as possible. I'm here in a second before I pass it to my UI director. She'll tell you more information about the federal guidance. There was a bill passed last Friday, the CARES Act, and this was the third stimulus package. Now, in that package included the $600. And so we've had a number of people, and that's probably what was an additional in that high number of 877,000 calls on Monday, attempted calls on Monday, is questions is, how do I get the $600? We want people to know at home, we do not have any guidance yet. The bill was just passed on Friday. I came in here with my staff over the weekend, rushed to do the paperwork, submitted it immediately, turned it in to Washington, D.C., and we are waiting from Washington, D.C., from the United States Department of Labor to give us some guidance. We hopefully will get some of that next week. But until then, we want people to say thank you for holding your calls on that so we can alleviate some of those lines for the people who need to get through. And then Laurel will talk about more on that in detail. But again, our partnership with you at home is how we're going to get through this at every level, every person in between, from employers to workers to business leaders to everybody's grandmother. We are working to address all the challenges, even the ones we inherited with our antiquated system. And these are challenging times. And from day one, I've been focusing on our workers and employers and keeping the engaged partnership with them. So we are continuing that with the resources. And I want people to know that I do care about our Kansas workers. My entire staff do. We are going through the same challenges. Many of our own families have been impacted by this health and economic crisis, and we do have to be away from some of our families as well. We're working around the clock, and we understand what it's like to struggle and to put food on our tables. So I especially want to thank my staff who have been doing amazing and working all in extra hours. And thank you for sharing this information, Nancy and Jan. And I'd like to pass it over to my UI director to share a little bit of information on the Federal Act and all the other amazing things that they're doing.
Thank you, Secretary Garcia. So I am Laurel Searles, and I just want to thank you for this opportunity to reach out to your membership. I am personally a rural Kansan. I'm from Ottawa County, Kansas. So I'd like to say hello to all my friends and family back in the Minneapolis and Delphus area. So appreciate every opportunity I can to reach out to the rural communities in Kansas especially. So as Secretary Garcia reported, the numbers that we are seeing are just staggering. The numbers that she reported on are just the last 2 weeks of initial claims being filed. That doesn't include the individuals that were unemployed prior to those weeks. These are just the most recent 2 weeks of initial claims being filed within the state of Kansas. And so we are doing our best to serve these people in this time of need. I want to talk to you a little bit about a couple of tools we have at the Kansas Department of Labor that are very useful for our employers. So one is the shared work program. So for those employers that are in a position where they are considering what they need to do, they're seeing an increase in business, but want to keep the doors open somewhat. We do have the shared work program, which is a layoff aversion tool. It allows an employer to reduce the number of hours of work that a group of affected employees are working and still allow those individuals to receive a partial unemployment insurance benefit. And so since we've been faced with the COVID-19 crisis, we've had a number of employers engage in this program successfully. And I want to thank them for doing that because it does allow them to keep their workers working and supplement their income through unemployment insurance. The other tool that's really helpful for employers at this point in time is filing by spreadsheet. So Secretary Garcia gave the initial claims numbers. The initial claims are your first application for unemployment insurance benefits. And so through the spreadsheet filing process, the employer has the opportunity to submit that initial claim on behalf of their workers. So it can be, and it doesn't matter how many workers that the employer is planning to lay off. It could be, we've done spreadsheets from one person all the way up to 10,000 people. This gives the employer the opportunity to submit information about all of their impacted workers at the same time to the Kansas Department of Labor instead of responding on a person-by-person basis. So it saves a lot of time for the employers. It also saves time for the claimants as they don't have to submit their initial application. And then it saves time for us at the Department of Labor so we can process those in mass versus taking those individual claims. It also helps to free up our phone lines as well because those individuals do not need to be calling in to file those claims. Employers, when they do participate in the shared work program or the filing by spreadsheet program, they have direct access to the KDOL staff who are working on those programs. So they do not have to sit and wait in the long queues or even deal with the busy signals that the general public does. It gives you direct access to the Kansas Department of Labor, which at this point is invaluable. Mm-hmm. And so I would really consider employers to look at those programs. The information is available on our website, www.getkansasbenefits.gov. I think they can be wonderful tools for both employers and workers. And so encourage folks to look at that. And want to thank the employers that have already engaged in those programs. We've just, the response has been overwhelming and we do appreciate that partnership from our employer community. So in regard to the federal legislation, the CARES Act that Secretaries Garcia and Toland spoke about, we are at the Department of Labor very much in the same position as Secretary Toland is at the Department of Commerce. We're waiting on guidance from the federal government. So we know that there are some exciting programs that are going to be available to assist folks, but we don't have the details on how exactly we're supposed to be implementing those. And so we're waiting for that guidance from the U.S. Department of Labor. One key piece is an additional $600 per week on top of your UI benefit. So in Kansas, your weekly benefit amount varies based upon your prior earnings. Regardless of your weekly benefit amount, you will be able to receive an extra $600 in benefits paid by the federal government. And so we will hope to have that program up and running as soon as possible. Unfortunately, it's not available at this time, but when it is available, we will certainly be publishing it on our website and through our social media. So as Secretary mentioned, we do daily updates every morning on Facebook. And we're also regularly making posts to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to share this information along with our website. So as soon as we do have that $600 available for individuals, we will share that information through those mediums. So the other program that is very exciting is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. This allows for an unemployment benefit to those who are traditionally not eligible for unemployment insurance benefits. And so it's a completely new program that we've never had before anywhere within the nation that Congress has created to be able to support those who are self-employed, the gig workers, the people that are not monetarily entitled to unemployment insurance benefits traditionally. And so we are very excited here at the Kansas Department of Labor to be able to start work on implementing that program to get relief to those individuals throughout the state of Kansas. But again, we're in the same position where we're waiting on guidance from the United States Department of Labor. I expect when that program is up and running, we will again push it through social media and at www.getkansasbenefits.gov. And we'll also be doing press releases and talking to the media when that program is ready to go. We're very excited to get those services out to Kansans. Another key piece of the legislation that is not as well publicized as the PUA program or the additional $600 is a provision that provides for tax relief for nonprofit and governmental employers. So the federal government is offering 50% credit to those employers on their unemployment insurance taxes. And we are actively working to implement that program as well. So as you can tell, we have a lot of stuff going on here at the Kansas Department of Labor. Secretary Garcia talked about our efforts to increase staffing. We're constantly reviewing our current situation and moving staff around to be able to meet needs. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm protecting the health and safety of my own employees. So we're doing our very best to get technology, laptops, VPN, et cetera, so people can begin working from home and continue to serve Kansans. One exciting initiative that the governor announced yesterday was the governor's office is assisting us with setting up kind of a triage call center. So some of the more basic questions that don't require the specialized skills and knowledge that our intake representatives have can be answered through this call center. We're hoping to have this up and running as early as next week, but we will see if that happens. There's still a lot of moving parts to get that together.
But it's coming.
But it's coming. And thank you very much to Secretary Toland, who has volunteered staff from the Department of Commerce to assist us with that endeavor, as well as the Department of Agriculture is also providing us with some staff to staff up that call center. So we're very excited to be able to increase the number of state workers that we have serving people. And so I also want to announce that on Saturdays, we're going to open up the call center, our current call center. So tomorrow, Saturday, they will be available on the phone starting at 8 a.m. Our call queues fill up very, very quickly. So we're not sure how long that we're going to be able to take those calls Saturday morning. But we will be able to take some calls tomorrow. For employers that are on the call, I do want to give you some contact information. If you have any questions or concerns, we do have an email box that is specifically for employers, and that is kdol.uitax@ks.gov. So right now, our benefits side of the house is incredibly busy trying to get benefits out to the individual workers across the state of Kansas. But we have a lot of employers who are trying to best serve their workers and have their own questions. And so our tax division at the Department of Labor has really stepped up and are being fantastic liaisons with our business community. And the best way to reach the tax division is through that email box, kdol.uitax@ks.gov. So employers, if you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to that email box. We will do our best to answer your questions. And if we don't have the answers, we will try to track them down for you. and keep you updated on what's going on here at the Department of Labor. So I want to just thank everyone for this opportunity to share this information. Wish we were able to answer questions because I'm sure that you have a lot. But again, we do try to answer all of the frequently asked questions that we receive through our daily updates, 9:30 on Facebook, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then Wednesday we do a live town hall at 3 p.m. So encourage you to check those out and join us at those times.
Very good. That's awesome. How does a person join your live town hall? Is that through Facebook Live as well?
Yes, it is.
At 3 p.m. on Wednesday.
Yes, correct. And for those of you that do not have Facebook, I understand many of us do not want to engage in Facebook, and that's okay. We do post those on our website as well. So if you go to www.getkansasbenefits.gov, you can review those videos as well.
So a website that we took note of that seemed very concise to us. I mean, just like you, the rest of us are almost inundated with so much information, we don't know where to find it. But you have one, and I'm sorry, I'm just not able to pull it up in my brain right now. Is it called
Click.
What is it called?
The Click. Are you talking about with the ones with the graphs?
I was thinking of the one that has all the projects. It might come out of Secretary Toland's office. It's Kansas something where all the business things are all together, but it's sponsored by the Department of Legislative Services, I think.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm not sure.
We do have on our own website, we have a page solely dedicated to the coronavirus as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to, we have 2 web pages. So we have the one that we've mentioned heavily, which is where you go primarily for UI, but we also have the website www.dol.ks.gov. Both those websites have a button for a link for COVID-19 resources where we have that information as well. And so that's another place where we update information pretty regularly. Secretary Garcia was talking about our Click website. If you go to that main KDOL page, then you will also have the opportunity to see the unemployment insurance weekly review, along with some of our other labor market information reports that provide graphs, maps of Kansas that show the unemployment insurance numbers right now. The LMI reports share more large economic data. But as this has happened so quickly, last month, we didn't have the issues that we have this month. So it's a much rosier picture last month than what we're experiencing now. So that most recent LMI report does not reflect current conditions, but the UI weekly review is updated every Tuesday.
Very good. Well, thank you all. Secretary Toland, do you have any last comments that you thought of since we...
Well, yeah, just 2 things quickly, Nancy. So business resources, you can go to kansascommerce.gov and you'll see right in front of you when you land, it's the COVID response page. And so we are updating that on a daily and often hourly basis. So check back frequently. Also check our social media, Kansas Commerce on Facebook and Twitter as well. You can follow me at Secretary Toland on Twitter, and I'm pushing out information as well. And I guess the last point I want to make is that we know this is an incredibly challenging time. We also know that this is temporary. We don't know how long it will last, but we are going to get through this as a state, and I think we're going to come out of it stronger. We've got great partnerships across state government and then with local communities to make sure that we can all be creative and nimble and flexible and meet the needs of Kansas businesses, Kansas workers, Kansas communities. So we're going to get through this. It's going to take a while, but we're going to come out on the other side stronger. So thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you all. We appreciate it so much. And I usually end with a thought for the day, although it's hard to, I'm not in any way trying to compete with yours, because that's the one that we really want to leave with people, is we will get through this and we'll get through it together. But Deepak Chopra has said that all great things are created by chaos. And so as a follow-up then, I couldn't choose between the two of them. But St. Francis of Assisi said, start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible. And I think you folks have all illustrated that in the last 3 weeks. And I thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Kansans appreciate what you're doing and understand the toll that it's taking on your staff. So please express that, our appreciation to them. Thank you all.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.